Welcome to Purple Easel Spotlight, where we put the spotlight on artists and creatives. My name is Latoya.
And I'm Megan.
And we're both art instructors here at California's largest paint tip studio, Purple Easel.
I am going to teach you all about Magic Eye today.
Magic Eye.
So if you're from our generation, you're quite familiar with Magic Eye.
Mm-hmm.
They were super prominent in the 90s, basically blew up and took over the world for a solid 2 years.
Okay. That sounds about right.
It was a very small window, but boy.
It was a good old time. It was a grand old time.
Magic Eye was originally developed by an engineer, Tom Briselli, a 3D artist, Sherry Smith, and programmer, Bob Salisi. It essentially took all their powers combined
Oh, wow.
to come up with what we now know as Magic Eye.
With our powers combined, I am Magic Eye. Magic Eye. Okay, I'm done with that. Okay.
That's great. While working as a manager at a tech company in Boston, Tom came up with an advertising concept for their Mime tech components. Don't know what that is. Not even going to pretend to know. He, as a result, brought in a pantomime and basically had him like plugged into all these cords as part of the advertisement, and they were taking still shots of it to put into the magazines. And the mime actually brought some camera equipment as well. Don't really know why, but Tom took a big interest in it because it was a 3D camera. He's like, "Ooh, how'd you get into this? Where can I get more info?" Blah, 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 blah. And so the pantomime basically gave him a reference to a magazine where he could get all kinds of information. And in that magazine, he saw what was an audio stereogram. I know audio is like input. Stereo means two. I couldn't really tell you more about it. I tried to look it up and it was so convoluted and like way beyond my comprehension level. So I'm not even going to attempt to really explain it. Just know it was a thing and it existed. And it was an early precursor to Magic Eye images.
Okay.
But the audio stereograms were developed by a neuroscientist and featured in this magazine. And so it like spurred Tom onto this whole line of thought, and he's like, I wonder how I can play with this. So then the first ad was born, and all it was basically black and white dots, and hidden within the black and white dots it said M700, which was the name of the product, the component that they were advertising. And then in the caption it said, can you find the hidden message? Basically just look at it as if you're looking off into the distance to try to give people a bit of a hint. And this is about to date us. The fax machine went crazy. People started requesting like specific advertisement and images. They wanted to commission stuff, and it just blew up. And so he's like, oh, maybe I'm on to something. So then he started to design more gaze toys. It was just like a fun thing he did in his outside of work time. And eventually he met up with Sherry, who was doing computer graphics and teaching clients how to do 3D animation. He'd actually seen her work on the halls of the office building and was like, who did that? I need to get in touch with that person. So for those of you who are not familiar, Magic Eye is basically a way your brain perceives an image. So your brain looks at 2 points, which is where the stereo comes from. And because the image is a repeating pattern, it automatically starts to merge the two together. However, in that process, it creates depth that really wasn't there prior to that, like transposition happening. And so it puts those 2 points on a different plane, and that's how you see an image within other images. And that's why there's all these like tips and tricks, so like, oh, cross your eyes, relax your eyes, look into the distance. There's lots of different methods you can use, but here is a very, very simple diagram where you kind of see the implosion and the explosion just on the two different ones. If you're looking on a smaller screen, I have noticed that it's much more effective than if you're looking at a large blown up version, or if you're backed away from it, you can definitely get that sense. It's kind of an optical illusion.
So these lines are all straight?
No, they're curved.
Okay.
They slightly curve as you go out. This is just a really simplified version of kind of explaining how your brain
Gotcha.
makes things look like they're going away or coming towards you. So after the M700 advertisement came out, they had a partnership with American Airlines. And American Airlines decided to put an image in their in-flight magazine. I could not find that image anywhere, unfortunately. It's really hard to get Magic Eye images that are like legit from these people because it's all pictures of books.
Yeah.
Because the internet wasn't really a thing at that time. Unfortunately, I didn't get the American Airlines image, but I heard a little story where essentially they would offer champagne to the first person on flight who can find the image correctly what it was. So it became like a game thing. Yeah. And then the rest was history.
Yes, I want to say for the record, I loved these things, as all kids our age did. I just have so many fond memories.
And the company is still alive.
Okay.
And they freely admit that it's probably just nostalgia driving them now. They are not producing to the same capacity whatsoever. And some of the main shareholders have kind of sold off stake and stuff, but they still exist. And there's even like, get your daily Magic Eye email saying they can sign up for, which is really fun. But first, they teamed up with a company in Japan who was already doing like magic tricks and stuff. And so that's where they came up with Magic Eye because it translated well to the Japanese population. So they did a couple little books in Japan. And then at that point, it was starting to gain some speed. So Tom went to one of his old tech coworkers, Bob Slitsky, and brought him in to program a better algorithm, which would allow for more complex and colored images. So it really took all three of them. It was basically the idea man who started playing with it, who brought in an artist because he's like, I want to make it more sophisticated. And then they're like, we need a computer that can do that for us.
Yeah, okay.
So it was kind of all things combined.
Gotcha.
And here we have some beautiful images of Magic Eye.
Oh, what are they? What are they? I can't see them because I don't know. I'm old now, and the magic is gone. The magic has left in my body.
The magic is never gone, first of all, Toya. But yes, it is a little harder on a computer screen than like when I was younger. I could just automatically.
Yeah, it was so much easier.
Yeah. But it's still super cool. And even looking at it like as an art piece, pretend that there's no 3D aspect to it at all.
Yeah, no, it's just fun.
There's fun colors and there's lots of different shapes. Very abstract.
Yeah.
Which is huge. So there's a lot. Like you really think of the graphic design component of this. And you're taking an image and duplicating it over and over and over and over. And then you're adding in that extra layer of, well, if we play with the gradients and force your eye to create this perspective.
Yeah.
And like that whole extra level that's in there is insane.
You know what? These things are just really cool because there's so many different types. It seems like on the internet, there's like, if you just look at the white dot for 30 seconds and then close your eyes, you'll see the image or whatever. It's like an imprint. There's like so many different versions of these sort of like brain trickery, eye trickery images.
Or if you stare at the color red and then look away to a white wall, you're going to see green because that's the complementary and just automatically in your brain. So it's really kind of a merge almost of science.
Yeah.
And artwork, which I think is always fun.
Yes.
But let's just take a moment to really appreciate it, how extensive Magic Eye was. It was on everything.
You know what's weird is I see it at school, obviously, but then there, like you said, when you're talking about the advertisement, I started thinking about other things that I remember seeing, just like dumb advertisements that had that element to it, and it was just fun.
Yeah, you're going to be remembered if you have something more interactive, right? And I think it was really that first venture into more interactive advertising. But there were mall kiosks, there were postcards, notebooks, posters at the doctor's office, like everything. And they catered to all these different specialities and created like something that would make sense for them. So within 24 hours, the first book, which was published in 1993, they started the first run with 30,000 copies, and it had completely sold out, and they ordered another 500,000 more.
That sounds about right. Those things were so hot. They were, I believe that. I believe that.
It's insane. That many copies of something brand new and essentially experimental.
What are those, the little, not field trips, but the book fairs. There you go.
Oh, yeah.
Book fairs.
Scholastic book.
We had those. We were like, oh.
I know, right? And then, of course, they had Magic Eye 2, and I think 3, and then they went off into, like, the Disney and the Garfield. And so they really hit the home run with these licenses and these partnerships that they created.
Oh, yeah, definitely. They probably made a lot of money.
They did pretty well. But despite that, it had a very short lifespan, because 2 years later, 1995 rolls around. Tamagotchis, Furbies.
I love Tamagotchi.
Beanie Babies. A lot of other things started to demand attention and financial resources, and Magic Eye kind of started to... But even the creators were like, I don't know how it lasted this long. So they're like all for it, and it's fine. Another sign of the times was a movie called Mallrats. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but there's this scene, and it is a guy trying to see an image of the Magic Eye in the mall.
It's been so long since I seen that movie.
So funny. I included the link.
Okay.
But I don't know if we can find an edited version because it is a Kevin Smith song, so there is some swearing, but oh my gosh, it just epitomizes the whole experience.
I'll just check it out because I do remember that movie. It's been just so long since I've seen it. So I remember vaguely of what you're talking about.
So good. I included this quote because not only is it great for Magic Eye, but I feel like you could really apply it to other areas of your life. To find the secret image, people adopted a signature Magic Eye stance. Bent forward, hands on hips, staring, dumbfounded at the visual static in front of them. The others who crowded around, there were always others, passed along tips like an unsuccessful game of telephone. Cross your eyes. No, squint. Try relaxing. Click. Suddenly the image would appear. Every illusion is solvable as long as you know how to look at it.
Okay, that's the thing, is it clicks. It just turns on. Your brain just turns on.
Yep.
It doesn't just slowly appear like, oh no, like, not there, and then it's there. Oh my gosh. Oh, this just in. Ooh, we have images that we can actually look at.
See if we can get this to work.
So here's my trick. My trick is you take your nose and you do, and then you just like slowly. It didn't work. Let me try it again. I'm gonna take my glasses off.
I think I'm too old for this.
That's what I'm saying. It's magic. It's not magicking.
Oh wait, I got something?
Oh, got it! What is it?
A peace sign. Because it's all hippy-dippy.
Let me try.
It's like I can see something happening, but I can't necessarily discern what the image is, just that there's some depth there.
I'm trying to squint. I do not. Oh my gosh. Something is wrong with me.
There's no magic for you, Toya.
Cry. You try this one. Okay, so here's what I think is happening. When I was a kid, I didn't care about nothing because you're a kid. You don't got bills. You ain't got, I don't like have to pay attention to detail. My spatial awareness is not what it is today. So I blame the fact that I'm very much a Virgo, paying attention to every single detail now that I have to.
Adulting.
So much adulting because I see eyes. I see eyes. Like
There's so many eyes.
Yes, but there's no. Why won't it work?
But our producer can see him.
He has the magic.
He's got a life. He's got kids.
Oh my God, it's not.
Responsibility.
Oh no, it's not that then.
I reject your theory.
Yeah, I do too. Ew.
But it's fun regardless.
I'm sad now.
Well, on that uplifting note, can I show you our next artist?
Sure.
Let me tell you about Lee Wagstaff. Because this might be your new favorite artist.
Oh.
So originally when he was starting his art journey, he would really use a lot of symbolism. Now he tries to make patterns
Yay.
that are devoid of meaning and symbol, which of course is very difficult.
Yes.
But here is a shot of him working. So all of his pieces are oil or gesso or enamel on canvas or burlap.
Okay.
So these are larger scale.
I see it. The magic is here. Maybe it's just gotta be big. I don't know. I
think the movement also helps. When I was looking through his Instagram feed and everything was like the small, like I could see everything instantly. When I pull up a specific image and looked at it closer, it blurred. It kind of went away, which there's beauty in that for sure. So if you get a chance, check out the Instagram feed because it might be a totally different experience. But let's look at these.
Pretty beautiful. I love it. 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 Ooh.
I'm not sure that one in particular has an image, but it's really pretty. Like, yeah, the color use is very unique, and just the way the little diamonds slightly change shape, and it creates that texture.
It's cool because it's human made. It looks like a computer image, because it's so clean, it's so precise. It looks like it was printed, but nope.
So interesting thing about that, yes, it is human made, but he has enlisted AI. So for his portraits, he was finding that, human faces are not symmetrical. And when you're trying to create an image within an image, that was becoming a problem. So what he will do is, even with historic figures, he says he's used Mona Lisa and stuff a few times, but he'll basically use half the face and then have AI fill it in more symmetrically so that he can then put it on canvas in a way that makes sense. And it takes him a long time. He works on multiple projects at once, especially since it's oil. It takes time to dry, but he'll plan things out. He has specific colors that he likes to use and different brands of each color. So I thought it was really interesting. There's one here that is a man with red, and he loves the way the cadmium, I don't know if it was cadmium, the red flows and works going onto the canvas, but he doesn't prefer the color red. So like the process is great, but the end result, he's always kind of like, he doesn't really like red. And I think that's so funny because I can relate to that.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, red's fine. I like cool colors better. I gravitate towards cool colors.
Okay.
Red has its place.
Yeah.
For me. But I think everybody has certain things that they just prefer. And so you might not like your finished piece just because it's not your jam, Like,
that's fair.
Nothing wrong with the work itself. So I think that's interesting.
One thing I like about pattern work and in general, whoever's doing it, is you're conscious of the lighter strokes and the thicker strokes. So it's a play on negative space and like positive space.
Yeah.
That I really like about it. It's probably one of my favorite things that I like about pattern work. And
yeah, I thought it was very interesting. For his process, he's very methodical. He doesn't, it's not expressive art at all. It's planned.
You can see that. You can tell that.
It has to be.
Yeah, exactly.
To be successful. I mean, think of how Magic Eye, they come up with the art image, but then throw it into the computer so the algorithm can flesh it out for them, you know? But this,
I see
very nuanced. It's got to be created in his head.
I'm sorry.
It's nuts. No, it's great. It's great. I knew you would be all.
Yes, I can see them. I can see like 90% of the images.
Yeah.
Yay. Also, one thing that's interesting that Neil deGrasse Tyson had said in some podcast or something somewhere or another on the internet is I guess the question was like, why don't you take drugs? And he's like, our brains and eyes are stupid already. And he uses these as an example to say, these are things, I'm not even on drugs and my brain is tricking me. My eyes are tricking me. So he's like, it's going to be 10 times worse than mine, right? Which is, fair. But it's interesting how your brain and your eyes warp things. It's such a mind bend.
It totally is.
Kind of makes me think of the MC Escher.
It does. It has Escher vibes. And it's that pattern thing, really. Some of these patterns are pretty intricate. And he even made a comment in one of the interviews, like he's trying to simplify, but the more he simplifies, the more intricate the pattern gets somehow. I'm not sure how that works, but you could totally see it. It's incredible. To segue into our discussion today, let's discuss the role of AI in computers. It's a big topic. We've kind of tiptoed around it. I think now is the time. What are your thoughts?
We got not an hour to talk about this, but we could. Yeah. So, okay. Just like most artists, I'm like, no. However, I see the pros and cons to it because it's, I won't say the same thing, but the evolution of tools that you can use to create art just keeps on going. So AI art and the use of it was inevitable, in my personal opinion. This was going to happen eventually. So either you can see it as a way like, oh, it's getting rid of the art, which true, fair. There is a lot to be said about that. In fact, because of that, I don't know what to say about like laws and this and that, because last I heard there was a person who used AI art to create like illustrations for a children's book, but that couldn't go through because it was not a human who made that. So like, what kind of legal actions do you take against that sort of?
A lot of nuances.
Yeah, there's a lot of nuances. However, it can and will be used as a tool. And I think if you want to use it to your benefit, if just like how we use models now or Pinterest now or anything like a reference now, you can type, I need to look at Spider-Man from this perspective, or if you want some sort of action pose, because before you would just have the little dummies and you would move their arms. Now you could just type it in and you would get that. So you can use it as a tool, but people claim it as their stuff. And another thing I got to say about AI art is the theory. It is taking art. You could say, okay, let's say you're making millions, and I'm like, make something like Megan Cheshire's art. It's stealing your style of art or whatever. So there's that too.
Basically, the computer's sucking in all the elements that make up my work and then spitting it out in a new form. And I feel like you kind of might understand that better when you think of musical artists. Something in a style of music I feel like people can relate to a little bit better than a visual thing. And then basically producing a song that's by that artist when it's not by that artist.
Yeah.
So it is a slippery slope, and I think there needs to be regulations, and good on them for not accepting the illustrations. Because if a computer's just doing everything for you, okay, make it write screenplays, and then we'll film those and see how that turns out. Because I've seen some of those screenplays that they make AI do, and like there has to be a human touch.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I feel like the way he's utilizing it it makes perfect sense.
Yes, of course.
Pulling up images for references, I mean, I do that all the time, and then I try to combine different things to create my own composition. But that's just natural artistry. The people forever have been looking at the natural world and taking references in one form or another. So that completely makes sense to me. The Spider-Man from a certain position also makes sense to me because as somebody who has to see it to draw it, which you may have noticed if you've seen our doodles at all, that like, okay, that clicks for me. But yeah, just passing something off as your own when you didn't really have hands in it bothers me.
Yeah, definitely. I have a little small quick question for you in regards to that. Would you want to be immortalized by AI? Because I immediately, like, my answer would be no. But if I were like Britney Spears or like Eminem or I don't know, Van Gogh, I'm sure is in a way immortalized.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, you're like, could I be famous 500 years from now? I don't know. How do you think about that?
I wouldn't mind being famous 500 years from now. I would not want to be famous now.
Okay.
As much as I would like the financial reward of that fame, I don't want that life. I like being somewhat anonymous and carrying on and being able to go to the grocery store without it being a big hoopla. Like, I am fine with that.
Yes. I 1000% agree. I was just talking to my fiance about this. I would not want to be famous. It is no.
I think I would still be pretty down to earth and probably get taken advantage of, honestly, because if I had more resources, and I'm a very giving person anyway, but
yeah,
like I like to be a normal person.
Yeah, it's fun.
I'm good with that. A little bit of maybe Instagram fame or enough to keep
fine.
bills paid, like that. I'd be okay with that.
Yeah. Anyone would. But yes, we would love to know, what do you think about AI art? It's a hot topic.
It is.
I'm sure you guys have opinions, and we would love to hear them. And from all of us here at Purple Easel, thank you so much for tuning in.
Make sure to check out the work of Lee Wagstaff and the origins of Magic Eye in the links below.
Join us at purpleeaselplus.com to paint with the world's largest paint sip studio online.
And if you're in Southern California, make sure to swing by the studio. In the meantime, create more and create often.
Bye. Can you see the magic eye? I can't see it, but do you guys see it? Comment. Let me know. I don't know what it is. Please, someone help me. Internet, people, tell me, what is it that you see in the magic eye?